Now that you have an idea of how if statements work, let's look at a few practical examples of how they're used. A pretty common way to use an if statement is with a menu. Tell the user what they can pick, take input, and then use their input in each condition of the if statement. Now in this program, I want the user to pick which math problem to solve. So in the block of each condition, I'll paste the correct code to run. Don't forget to indent. At the end, I have an else statement. Because we can't control what the user types in, if they choose something other than 1, 2, or 3, the else block runs and prints not a menu option. Let's test this out. That one was easy. This next one is a small game. It's like a digital 8-ball. In order for this program to work, it has to make a random decision. But programs are simple and need to follow logic. So we use random numbers, which you can get from the random module. You'll need to import it, and then you can do random.randint, which will return a random integer. This command takes two values, a starting value and an ending value. If I give it 1 and 5, it'll randomly return either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You can see that when I try it in the interpreter. Calling the command repeatedly will give different numbers. Back to the 8-ball program. It takes an input so the user can type something in, but it doesn't do anything with it. Then it generates a random number between 1 and 10, and then checks all of them in the if statement. The program will print a yes answer, no answer, or maybe answer, depending on the number generated. What's fun about this program is that you can customize what the responses will be. Let's ask it a few questions. Here's another program. It's an example of how you'd write a simple login screen. It asks for a username and password, and then it tells you if you've gained access or entered the wrong login. It does this using nested conditionals. Nesting in programming means one thing contains a similar thing. In this case, there's two if statements inside of a bigger if statement. Here's how the logic works. If the username is correct, check if the password is correct. If it is, then print access granted. But if it's not, they've got the username right but not the password. Print that out. If the username was wrong, check if the password was right. If it was, print that they've got the wrong username. If it's wrong, print that they've had both wrong. Nested conditionals allow you to check if there's two conditions met. However, there's another, perhaps easier way to do this. Remember those logical operators we learned about last unit? Not, and, and or? We can use those to check for more than one condition. Here's how to write the same program in a different way. We learned that AND evaluates to true if both conditions are true. So in the first half, we check if the username is right or wrong, and in the second half, we check the password. The logic here is the same. If the username and password are correct, print access granted. If the username is correct, but password is not, print wrong password. If the username is incorrect and the password is good, print wrong username. If none of those conditions, both username and password must be incorrect. Here's the output for this program. There's also some functionality we can add here that can't be achieved with nested conditionals. The OR operator will return true if at least one of the two conditions is true. I can replace these two conditions with an OR statement and a print that says username or password incorrect. Let's test that. Okay, this last one is cool. It's a game of rock, paper, scissors. It looks long, but it's not that difficult. It takes the user's move with an input, generates a random play for the computer player, and then prints the result using nested conditionals. Again, the random number was created with the random.randint command. I created a variable called computer choice and then set it to either rock, paper, or scissors depending on the number. Here, where I check for the winner, I decided to use nested conditionals instead of using AND statements. I did this so I didn't have to rewrite the first condition a bunch of times, and this way it's a little more organized. When you need to check more than one condition, you can decide which way you want to write it, nested or not. Sometimes nesting will make it easier, and sometimes it doesn't. There are different reasons for using each, so try them on your own. In the bigger if statement, I check for the user's choice. Inside of that, I check the computer's choice. Here, both the user and computer chose rock, so the game ends in a draw. Over here, the user chose rock and the computer chose paper, so the computer wins. And lastly here, the user chose rock, and the computer didn't choose paper or rock, so it must have chose scissors, meaning the user won. I did that for all of the possible combinations of the game. At the end, I have an else statement, meaning the user didn't choose rock, paper, or scissors, so it just prints what to type in next time. Here's the game in action. Alright, those are all of the examples in this video. Now it's your turn to make some fun programs. Code Dog out.